So, how about the New York Mets? The New York Mets win a game that in 2026, in 2025, they would have lost. Sammy, higher expectation sports, we are here once again. We're going to be doing a reaction of the game that happened earlier in the afternoon, evening time, where they played the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Mets. No team scored for the first 9 innings, complete 9 innings. Then there was some scoring in the 10th, scoring in the 11th, as we see the final score there. The Mets win 4-2. Now, I haven't watched the highlights of the game yet. I've been making it clear that I want to do a lot of live streams for the games, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do every game. So with that, while I'm not able to do every game, that doesn't mean I'm not going to at least come out and do a reaction or do something. So right now, I'm going to put on it's a 12-minute and 38 seconds Pirates versus the New York Mets game highlights. And then we're going to talk about it. We're going to react about it. I'm going to react like I'm just seeing the game for the first time, which I am. The only thing I know the results. I know the results that the Mets won 4-2, and they came back 2 times. I know that they also had a devastating 10th inning. A 10th inning that started off great, but then it finished off worrisome if you're a Mets fan. Flashbacks of 2025. But I know that at the ending of it, the Mets, as the song says, they took care of business. And that right there is extremely important, because a team, you're not going to win every game, but there are some games that on the calendar or in the game, you're like, okay, we got to win this game. It's an important game. Like last year, all the Mets needed was one game and they would have made the playoffs. So that one game could be, let me fix my camera. That one game could be anything. So that's why I say it's extremely important for that. So I'm going to put the highlights on and I'm going to react to it. Showing the fans right now, the Mets won their first game opening day. See Francisco Lindor with the kids. I love watching highlights, but I had to watch the highlights live stream. David Peterson, 4.22 ERA in his last 30 starts last season. But the way he finished off the season was really bad. He was an all-star. First half, all-star season. Second half, not good at all. Really, really bad. He pitched the most he's pitched for the Mets, and it got to him. So the first pitch of the game, again, this is the highlights, but hey, we're here. So the first pitch from Peterson, Triolo, there it is, grounded to Bichette. Bichette fields it and makes the throw one away. That's a quick one pitch, one out for the Mets. And O'Neal Cruz is not there. O'Neal Cruz had a terrible game 1. So I'm not seeing this. First pitch, Polanco boots it, but he gets it to Peterson. So Polanco was another Met. If you're a Mets fan, then you're going to understand. But Polanco's another Met that he's playing first base for the first time. He's been struggling. He's been really, really struggling to start. I mean, in 2 games, if you want to call it that. But, hey, good job by him. He bobbled the ball at first. He makes the out there, though. So the highlights go pretty fast, but we're going to react to it. So Brian Reynolds, he's swinging and a miss. So David Peterson starts off really good. We're going to go to his stats after this highlights I'll be watching. We're going to go and break down the stats, see how everybody did and so forth. And what I do know, this was a pitcher's matchup. I mean, again, no team scored until the 9th inning. Lindor led off the game, hitting the ball well to center field, but Jacob Mangum was there. Instead of O'Neal Cruz, he caught that ball. Juan Soto's up. I know Juan Soto had a tough at-bat in the 10th inning. He is the 1-1. Soto fouled it off of his foot. That he has to walk away a little bit. That's a tough spot to hit. If you're a baseball player, you know hitting the ball off your foot hurts a lot. So Juan Soto ends up hitting into a ground out to the shortstop. Soto's limping a little bit early in the game. He finished the game, so you're happy about that. Bichette strikes out. So Bichette has struck out 5 times in the season, and he has swung at pitches that you're like, I'm not too sure what is going on now. So swing and a miss. So Peterson 5 up, 5 down in the game. So he's looking sharp real fast. Really, really sharp. And again, I really wish I could have did this game from the beginning. I wish that I'm not doing it, for highlights. And, shout out to everybody that's on TikTok. A lot of people are joining on TikTok. Let me keep it there on TikTok. Shout out to everybody that's joining on TikTok. A good set of innings for, David Peterson. And Bichette makes the sliding grab. I know it's really windy. Shout out to Nest on TikTok. Shout out to anybody on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch that's joining. This is not the live game. The game, of course, the Mets won already. The Mets win today. They're 2-0 on the season. But I've made it. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to Richie. I've made it a responsibility of mine. Bichette has a play at third, makes the throw, and a really, really bad throw by Bichette. So Bichette hasn't been looking good at third base throws. Fielding the ball, he's looked okay. But his throw, shout out to Life Through Film. Shout out to Aunt Ruiz. Shout out to anybody that's on TikTok joining. But yeah, Bichette, he's definitely been struggling. Really, really been struggling to make the throws. So David Peterson gets into trouble in the 4th inning. So again, I want to be doing as many Met games. For example, tomorrow, if everything goes well, I'm going to be doing maybe the first 2 innings. But then I'm going to have to step away. And then after that, double play ball. Simeon's there. Or not double play, Force at second. Shout out to Blake there on TikTok. So, I'm going to see in that regard. Bichette gets his first hit as a Met. Let's go. It is going to be a single for Bichette through the right field past the first baseman. So that's a really, really nice piece of hitting right there. Shout out to Rodney Gonzalez there on TikTok. Robert Jr. not looking weak swing there. So we're watching the highlights. Now again, I don't know if I'm going to be watching the highlights like this. Maybe I'll react to the big moments, but let us see here. They're talking about the clock. This game was a slow game. I mean, the first 9 innings were there was times where the Pirates had a lot of opportunities. They just didn't come through. But from the 10th and the 11th, it was absolute electricity in the game. So shout out to Enrique on TikTok, swing and a miss. So in case you missed it, the Mets win. I'm just watching the highlights of the game. I already know that they won, but I'm a big Mets fan. I want to be doing as many of the games as I can. Unfortunately, I can't. So I wanted to at least come through with this and, at least give this shout out to the Mets. So that ball's hit well to center field. Lindor is going to be caught by Magnum. What a play, man. If O'Neal Cruz was there, I don't know if he would have caught that baseball. But nonetheless, Magnum, I'm not even sure who Magnum is, makes the play and then scales the wall. What a play there. Look, defense is a huge part of the game. Juan Soto gets on base. Bichette hits it to the first baseman. O'Hearn, what a play there. So the Pirates are a better team. Pirates are a better team. They are not the same team. So we're in the 7th inning. Luke Weaver's in. Nice start by David Peterson. We're going to react to that. Nice play. My gosh. Yeah, Polanco, he's definitely not looking great at first base to start off. Not looking great, Polanco is. But again, it's only the 2nd game. Spring training is one thing. The actual season is another thing. So there's a little break there with the commercial. And I'm going to give you I'm going to start the stats. I'm going to start the stats of the Mets game. We're going to go over some scores around town, around the MLB. But the Mets are 2-0. Richard Lovelady, he gets the win. That name, look, no disrespect, that name just cracks me up. Richard Lovelady. I mean, it's a name you don't hear, Richard Lovelady. But shout out to Richard Lovelady because you're on the Mets. So Lindor, tough game, 0 for 5 offensively. He doesn't have a hit through his first 2 games. And the questions will be a lot with him. He's always off to slow starts. And along with slow starts, he just came off of a surgery. So is something that we definitely got to see there. But we're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Ben strikes out 0 for 3. Gregory Soto, yeah, he just completely overmatched him. Gregory Soto gets a big out there. So we're in the 9th inning. Devin Williams, first outing as a Met. A Devin Williams outing. And I'm curious to see that. We're going to get back to the box score in a few minutes. But first pitch to O'Neal Cruz, swing and a miss at 93 miles per hour. Not throwing hard though, 93 miles per hour. That is going to be hit past Bichette Magnum. So Soto's going to get it in, and it's going to be a 1-out double. So what a job by Magnum. Magnum does an absolute huge job for the Pirates. Gets it by Bo Bichette. Yeah, that's the thing about when you play shift on the game. When you shift, you know, if you get beat, it's gonna be fairly easy, and it's gonna be almost guaranteed extra base hits when you shift. So Devin Williams facing strike 3. Devin Williams strikes out Reynolds, gets into trouble in the 9th, but he gets out of adversity. So gotta be happy about that. So the bottom of the 9th, excuse me, swing by Luis Roberts. They're gonna get the 1-out by him. Polanco's at second base. Let's see what's going to happen with Santana. Brett Beatty right now. He swings, lines it. First baseman catches it. And they're going to double up O'Hearn. And the Mets, we are going to extra innings. Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. This game was scoreless for the first 9 innings. Now, the 10th inning, Luis Garcia's in the 10th inning. Luis Garcia is a veteran. He's 39 years old. He wasn't good in his first outing, but nonetheless, he's there. So he gives up a single, and the first run of the game, the Pirates lead 1-0 in the 10th inning. Wow. That was a good pitch too, but better hitting. Just better hitting. Bases loaded, grounded. Wow. Bases loaded, 1 out, no outs, and the Pirates only get 1 run. So now we're in the bottom of the 10th inning. This is the controversial inning for the Mets. This is the inning where Mets fans were like, what the hell is going on with the Mets? What is going on? Vientos comes in, pinch hit, base hit. Mets, Beatty's going to be held at third base, which was a good job. Good job to hold Beatty there. You can't run yourself out of the inning right there. So Luis Torrens is up, bases loaded, no outs, 1-0. He hits a line drive, base hit, and the Mets tie the game. So the Mets have the bases loaded in the bottom of the 10th inning. They have Lindor, Soto, and they're going to have Bichette coming up. Let's see what Lindor does here. Lindor had a tough day. 1-0. Lindor hits a little nub shot to the second baseman. They're going to be out at home plate. Juan Soto with an excuse me, check me swing. And that's a nice place by the pitcher. Excuse me swing by Juan Soto, but that's a nice play by the pitcher. Nice play. So the Mets had bases loaded in the bottom of the 10th. No runs. 1 run, you win it. They got to a Soto and Lindor couldn't get the lead. Now Bo Bichette hits it well, but the right fielder's there, and the Mets don't score. Yikes. That is absolutely unbelievable that they don't score. Now, we're in the top of the 11th inning. Brian Reynolds with the excuse me hit, and the ball stays fair, and the Mets trail 2-1. Oh my gosh. That excuse me base hit, excuse me swing base hit. Pirates lead 2-1. Now the Mets now have second and first. Polanco has a good at bat. Luis Robert Jr. is up right now. Can the Mets get themselves a win? 1-0. That's hit well. That's hit deep. And the Mets win the ball game. So we witness it right now. The reaction. Luis Robert Jr. hits a walk-off 3-run home run. And the New York Mets win the ball game. So look. The Mets are 2-0. They're 2-0. I mean, you're happy about that. You're happy about that because they're 2-0. At the end of the day, it comes down to wins. Now, before I go into the box score, I'm going to go into the box score after this. This is a game last year that the Mets would lose. The Mets wouldn't win this game last year. They wouldn't. They would lose it. And the stat, let me even give you really fast a quick stat so that you can see how bad it was for the Mets and coming back, because this is a comeback win. What was the New York Mets record in 2025? Down, trailing, entering the 9th inning. So the Mets, I believe that this is accurate, but I don't know. Okay. The New York Mets, I don't know if it's 0-60 or 0-70, but I'm going to go with 0-60. In 2025, the New York Mets were 0-60. 0-60. Can you imagine being 0-60? 0-60. Shout out to everybody that's joining on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. The Mets were 0-60 when they were trailing going into the 9th. Now, I get it. This game in the 9th, there was no score. But the Mets got down in the 10th, 1-0. I get it. It's 1-0. I get it. You have the free runner at second base. I get it. It doesn't change the fact that you were down 1-0 in the 10th. And this is a game they lose last year. Then you tie it up in the bottom of the 10th. But then you have a chance to win it. And that happened last year against the Nationals. The Mets had a chance versus the Nationals last season. Opportunity after opportunity. And they just failed. They just couldn't. Opportunities where you got to come through. And they didn't come through. So that happened. Bases loaded, no outs, bottom of the 10th. You need one run. You need a sac fly. You can't get it done. Mets don't score after the bases loaded. In the 11th inning, you go down again on an excuse me single. The Mets are now trailing 2-1. So that right there is like, it's frustrating. Now, with that being said, the Mets trailing 2-1 in the bottom of the 11th. Luis Robert Jr. hits a walk-off 3-run home run. So that right there is absolutely enormous because it's a new Met. We're talking about a newly reinstated Met, like not a newly reinstated Met, but a Met is only his second game as a Met. And Luis Robert Jr. is a good player. It's just that when you're with the White Sox and with how much they struggled, you don't get a lot of love in that regard. I mean, the crowd that Luis Robert Jr. is playing in front of now is different. And if I'm not mistaken, he's Dominican. He's surrounded by Dominicans now. In Chicago, I don't know if there's a ton of Dominicans. But on his team now, he has Soto. Lindor is not Dominican, but Lindor is Spanish. He has Polanco. He has players that, you can even say they can rejuvenize. So, this is a game last year that the Mets would lose. And the fact that they won it is very impressive. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy because, again, games like this matter. Now, if they would have lost 5-0, okay, you'd be mad they lost. But for the game to be 1-1 in the bottom of the 10th inning, you have the bases loaded, no outs, Lindor, Soto, and Bichette. If you ask any baseball person there, if they're a Mets hater, they're going to say Mets will still lose. But if you ask a baseball player that won't be biased, who's going to win? 100%, 99.999%, Mets will win this ball game. There's no way they won't. And for them to not score, hey, you got to give credit to the Pirates too. The Pirates made some nice plays. They made, because you still got to execute. They made some nice plays. So you got to give credit to them in that regard. Now, with that being said, for the Mets to be at a position where they were about to lose that, That's really, really bad. You know, that's something that you can't let something like that happen. You cannot. But we see the walk-off home run by Luis Robert Jr. And I know that in New York, even in Toronto, I'm in Canada, New York and Toronto have similar weather, even though Toronto may be a little colder. It's cold here in Toronto. If the Blue Jays had a game in Toronto today, but they have the roof. If they didn't have that roof and they were playing outside, it would be freezing, freezing temperature. So, you know, you give a shout out to the Mets. Of course, it's one of those games that's freezing, cold, but they got the W. And I'm extremely excited about that. So I'm going to go over the box score and then, you know, we're going to get off this live stream. But the Mets were 0-60 when trailing after eight innings. I understand that they weren't trailing after the 8th inning today. It was still 0-0. But the Mets just didn't come back enough last season. The Mets just weren't clutch last season. They weren't clutch again in the 10th inning. But not everybody, but Luis Robert Jr. was clutch. And you got to give a shout out to that. So let's go with the Mets. Let's start off with David Peterson. Mets had a really good performance by the pitchers. So David Peterson, 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, no earned run, 3 Ks. Only 76 pitches, 51 for strikes. So that's really good. Brazaban came in, got 2 outs and a strikeout, only with 4 pitches. Luke Weaver, he had a really good outing. Gave up a hit, but 1 clean inning. Brooks Raley, 1 inning, clean, 2 strikeouts. Devin Williams got into a little trouble with a double and also a walk. But he struck out 2 and, you know, got out of it. Luis Garcia, you know, he gave up the first run of the day for the Mets. 2 hits, a run. It wasn't an earned run because, of course, with the extra inning, they don't count it as a run or whatnot. But, you know, he gave up a run, and then he gave up also a walk. And then Richard Lovelady. I'm not cracking jokes on him, but this name is just an epic name. I just got to say Richard Lovelady. Like, that's his name. Richard Lovelady. No messing around. Like, not trying to clown him. But he, 1 inning, 2 hits. He gave up 1 run, but he got out of trouble as well. So the Mets pitching, 11 innings, 12 hits. The Pirates had opportunities. 2 earned runs only. No earned runs. They gave up 4 walks. Not good compared to the first game. 9 strikeouts as a team. So that's solid. Now, let's see here. 1 error in the game, Bo Bichette. He had a bad throwing error. He's going to take some time there on base. You know, it's going to really take some time with him. The Mets, with runners in scoring position, they were 3 for 14. Not good. Lindor 0 for 1, Benj 0 for 1, Beatty 0 for 2, Vientos was 1 for 1, Robert Jr. was 1 for 2. And those 2 hits, 2 of those hits, 3, and Luis Torrens is 1 for 1. 3 of those hits came in the 10th inning. So you can imagine for the first 9 innings how not good they were with the runners in scoring position. Bo Bichette 0 for 2, Soto 0 for 2, and Simeon also 0 for 2. They left a total of 9 runners on base. Now, Lindor 0 for 5, 1 K. He's yet to have a hit in the season. He's 0 for 5 in this game. The last game, I believe he was 0 for 1 or 0 for 2. So he's hitless in his first 2 games. Juan Soto, he only had 1 hit, reached base only the 1 time, no walks. He was 1 for 5. Bo Bichette got his first hit as a New York Met. Not a great start for him offensively. 1 for 5. He scored a run, an important run. He struck out 2 times. So he's already struck out, if I'm not mistaken, 5 times in 2 games. And that's a lot. It's a lot for him. Polanco. Jorge Polanco only had 2 official at-bats. He had really good at-bats because he was 0 for 2, no hits, but 3 walks. So you take those 3 walks. Luis Robert Jr. had the biggest hit of the game. He was 1 for 4. He also had a walk, but he had the game-winning 3-run home run. Brett Beatty, the DH, was 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Marcus Simeon didn't have a good day, 0 for 3. Carson Bench didn't have a good day, 0 for 3, where he was with 2 strikeouts. Mark Vientos came into a clutch situation, pinch hitting for Carson Bench, and he got the base hit. That was one of the hits with runners in scoring position. And hey, shout out to anybody that's on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. You know, feel free, leave a comment if you want to interact. You interact with me, I shout you out, we talk. You know, I'm here for this. We don't have a ton of people watching, but nonetheless, it is what it is. We still gonna make it happen, and that's the bottom line. Cause Sammy says so. That's the bottom line. So let's finish off with the box score. So, Jared Young didn't get a at bat, but he came in because Vientos pinch hit for Benz, and then Jared Young went to right field. Francisco Alvarez was 0 for 2. He only had 2 at bats with also a walk. So Tyrone Taylor came in to, I think, play right or pinch runner. Excuse me, he was a pinch runner, and Luis Torrens then came in to finish off the game catching. He was 1 for 1 in RBI, and he also had a hit, his first plate appearance. And you can expect Luis Torrens to start the game tomorrow. So look, at the end of the day, it's 2-0. The Mets are 2-0. They get their second win. And again, this is a game that last year the Mets would not win. I'm just throwing that out there. This is a game last year that if you're a Mets fan, they're not going to win it. So the fact that they did win this game, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing, because when you have, okay, it's like think of things like this. When you have an opportunity in front of you, and the opportunity, let's say, I don't want to say it's given, it's easy, but you know, let us say I'm given this bottle of water. I'm given 10 minutes to chug it. Do you think that that's hard to do in 10 minutes? No way. In 10 minutes, I could do this maybe in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's not going to take that long to do it. Now, of course, if you say chug this in 30 seconds, that's a different ballgame if this thing's full to the top. The equivalent, the Mets had an opportunity having the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th, tie game, 1-1, bases loaded with Lindor, which Lindor, he's going to need time. He's recovering from, he's even said it, he's in a position where he can play, but that doesn't mean that his hand is good. And he said his hand may never be good. That's a crazy thing. So, I mean, but there reaches a point where if you're going to play, I mean, you can't put no excuses out here, you know? So, but okay, let's say Lindor didn't come through, but then Soto swinging on the first pitch, not coming through, little, excuse me, hit. And then Bichette, if Lindor or Soto would have done what Bichette did, which was getting the ball in the air, then there would have been a different game. There would have been a sacrifice fly to win it. So the fact that the Mets didn't come through in that, something like that could be really deflating. Really deflating, where you're like, damn, it's over. And then not only that, in the 11th, they got down again. The Pirates took a 2-1 lead. Shout out to Showtime DLC on TikTok. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, Twitch. Shout out to everybody. But to be down 2-1, and then Luis Robert Jr., I believe, let me see the name on Instagram. They have a name for him. Plantera or Pantera. Let me take a quick look at that. I'm going to see what do they call Luis Robert Jr. because they have a name for him. Let me see here. I'm looking for that really fast. Bear with me for a second because I want to see. There's a nickname that he has. Luis Robert Jr. La Pantera. La Pantera. Let me see here. I believe La Pantera. I'm not... Mr. Paulo or something like that. Let me see. Pantera. La Pantera. The Panther. My bad. Excuse me. The Panther. So the Panther came through. Hit a 3-run walk-off and the Mets win. So something like that is really important because there are some games that you just can't lose. And I'm going to even give you another example. Let me go to the Blue Jays game. Let me go, because the Blue Jays won. I'm going to finish off with the Mets game, but the Blue Jays won in comeback fashion again as well. But look, if you're the Blue Jays, okay, you were winning 1-0 tied up. You're winning 2-1. Okay, in the 7th inning, to give up. Let me see here. And it was Little again. Little was one of the culprits, and Flaherty. What was it? Maybe it was a grand slam? Possibly it was a grand slam. Let me see there. Yeah, they gave up a grand slam. To be up 2-1 in the 7th, and then for that inning to end, and then you're trailing 6-2, that's like, damn, yo, like, come on, like, what's going on? I mean, I get it. It's baseball. Baseball's unpredictable. Things happen. I get it. But down 6, you're up 2-1, and now you're down 6-2. Like, those are games that, okay, it's 2-1. It's a close game. It's not like, oh, we must win. But it's also a game where you're like, okay, let's close this out. Then to be down 6-2, but look, they came back. They got 1 in the 7th, 6-3. Then they got 2 in the 8th, 6-5. And then in the 9th, Kirk hits his first home run of the season, 6-6. Now imagine, they come back. For them to lose this game, it's like, damn, how can we lose this game? But and then what? The 10th inning, they get down again. Brent Rooker hits a single. They're up. But then at the bottom, they tie the game up. And the 11th, Ernie Clement gets the walk-off hit. So there's some games as a team that you're like, you know, I don't want to use the word must win. Of course, it's so early in the season, but it's just the reality. Some games, with the way that with the position that you're in, you can't afford to lose that game. And the fact that the Mets let opportunities slide away, but they were able to seal the deal, is a very, very important thing. So look, shout out to the New York Mets. They're 2-0 to start off the season. Shout out to baseball, because baseball is back. I am extremely excited to have baseball back. Let's do a quick, give you a quick update on some of the scores that are going on around. There's even some NCAA basketball going on, but right now the Padres are 3 outs, or how many outs? They are 1 out away, 1 strike away from getting their first win. They're 0-2 against the Tigers, who are 2-0. The Diamondbacks are a few outs away from getting their first win. They're 0-2 versus the Dodgers, who are 2-0. The Guardians and the Mariners both are 1-1. It's 2-0. Mariners are up. The Rays lose to the Cardinals again, 6-5. The Cubs get their first win, 10-2 over the Nationals. As I said, the Blue Jays win. They're 2-0. The Twins beat the Orioles 4-1. The Rangers have themselves a first win. They beat the Phillies 4-5. The Red Sox lose 6-5 against the Reds. The Marlins, quick start for them. They're 2-0 to start off the year. The Astros avoid the sweep. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, and this is another perfect example of what I want to say in this regard, just before we finish off. So, folks, okay, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or the Los Angeles Angels, that they used to be that. The Angels were winning 6-0 in the 5th inning. You mean to tell me it's acceptable? Look, I get it. It's baseball. Things are going to happen. It's sports. Comebacks are always going to happen. It's part of the game. But you mean to tell me the Angels, being up 6-0, should they lose that game? Most baseball people will say no. They're in great position to get the sweep. They're in great position. And, you know, they're in great position. I mean, what else can you say? But what I see here, a glaring number, 3 errors by the Angels. 3 errors. One of the pitchers gave up, let's see how many runs he gave up. It's not even, he didn't even, the Astros won 9-11, and they only got 5 earned runs. That means 6 runs were off of errors. So, but, and now, those errors, if there's one thing that it's in your hands, it's the fielding. It's in your hands. You can't say, I was forced to make a bad error. The ball was slippery. that's not really a good excuse. So they were up 6-0. This is a game where you're like, oh, we got this. And before you know it, the Astros get 3 in the 5th. They get in the 6th, they get 6 in the 6th. And then they get, no, excuse me. They get 8 runs in the 6th inning. Of course, errors are a huge part of that. So it's one of those games. Like, this is what I'm saying with the Mets. If you're the Angels, how could you lose this game? This is a game you can't lose as the Angels. Let me see. If you're with the Angels, how can you lose this? No, you can't. But they lost it. And yes, you give credit to the Astros for coming back, but 3 errors, the Angels gave the game away. And that's things that you can't do. Good teams can't do that, because those wins, those what if wins, they add up towards the end of the year. So the White Sox lose again, 6-1. Brewers are 2-0. Braves win again. They're 2-0. I know Dominic Smith hit a walk-off grand slam. The Yankees sweep the Giants. Yankees are 3-0 to start the season. And there's a final with the Padres and Tigers. The Padres are they get their first W of the season. They are 1-2. The Tigers are 2-1. So that's it for today, baseball-wise. We got more games tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm going to be doing hopefully at least 1 to 2 innings of the Mets game tomorrow. But I know that regarding that, it's going to be tough because I have to leave pretty early. But still, I'll be back with reactions. And hopefully the Mets could get the sweep tomorrow, you know. The Pirates are a better team. People can't be fooled. Oh, it's the Pirates. Look, the Pirates are not the same team as last year. I think that the Pirates will be a very competitive team this year. I think so. In college, men's college basketball, Purdue, Arizona wins in blowout fashion, 79-64. And Illinois defeats Iowa, 71-59. So tomorrow in men's college basketball, we got a 2:15 game, Tennessee and Michigan. And then we have a 5:05, which, my goodness, I'm so frustrated. I wish that this game was at 5:00. I wish this game was at 8 p.m. I want to do this game, Duke versus UConn, but I'm not going to be able to do that game. But what we know is that the following Saturday, we're going to have some NCAA championship games and sports in general. Look, folks, I'm Sammy. Higher Expectation Sports is the page. And I'm here, you know, because I love sports. I'm a really, really big fan of sports. And I'm going to be doing live streams very soon, NBA playoffs. I've been doing a lot of baseball games recently. And it's just going to keep getting better and better. So, look, the Mets win. They're 2-0 to start the season. I want to give this quick advice to you. There are things in your life that you were meant to do, because everybody has a purpose. There are things in your life that you were meant to do, because everybody has a purpose. But I want to talk exactly to you that you are putting it to the side. You keep pushing it to the side. Some of the reason why you push it to the side is you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're worth it. You don't believe in yourself. Or you think you have no purpose. Or you don't think that you can make it. Learn from an example that I experienced, especially with even live streaming. I don't have a ton of people watching, but it doesn't matter. I had to tell myself, Sammy, are you doing this just because you want views or attention? Or are you doing this live streaming because it's a passion of yours? And when I understood that, Sammy, it is true, it's your passion of yours, it made it easier for me to do this, regardless if I have 1 person watching, 10 people watching, 100 people, 1,000, 10,000 people watching. Made it a lot easier. So we are here nonetheless doing this. And I say this because you have a purpose, because you've been putting things off. Go for it. Take the leap of faith. Take the opportunity to be a better you. to be a better version of yourself. Because listen, the only thing you have to regret, at least one of the things that you have to regret, is that you didn't try. The only thing you have to lose is that you didn't try. And that right there is a painful thing, to know that it was in your hands. Oh, it's in my hands, but I decided to put it down and act like, oh, but I don't know. I don't know. It's in your hands. You may not know. We don't always know, but what's the first step? What's the next step you could take? What's a small step you could take? For example, where I'm at right now, can I be honest with you? I never thought I would be at where I'm at. I started my page. I started my page in 2023. I started first on Instagram, and then I believe sometime soon after that was YouTube. And I started off with motivation videos. That's it. Never did I thought I would think I would be doing sports. Then I made a TikTok, 2024, I believe? Was it 2024 or 2025? I think 2025 actually. And let's say 3 years, 2 to 3 years later, look where I'm at. I don't have a huge audience, but that's okay. I'm actually doing live streams of baseball games. I like my setups. My setups look pretty good, and it's going to get better. Like very soon, I'm going to have sponsors on the page. I'm going to have giveaways. I have the idea. I want to give away Meta glasses. Like imagine I could give away Oakley Meta glasses on this page. I can't wait for that. Like give away free bats, give away, like I'm telling you, the things that are going to happen on this page, I am extremely excited for it. And I'm going to keep talking about it. Why? Because I have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. The only thing I have to lose is not trying. And to not try, it hurts. Because I've gone years in my life where I didn't try something because I was worried about what people would say. So go for it. You got a purpose. You got something that you have a passion for. Regardless of what people think, say, or do, you got this. Sammy, Higher Expectation Sports is the channel. And don't forget, the Mets win. They are going for the sweep tomorrow. I hope that they can take it. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's represent real fast. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. We out here, folks. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you all next time.